right, at this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. If everyone could have a seat, please. Welcome to the February 10th, 2025 meeting of the Franklin Historic Zoning Commission. Our first agenda item here is our minutes from last month. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve our minutes from last month.
So move.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Michael. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of approval of the January 13th, 2025 minutes, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The minutes are passed. Move that out of the way. Next up, staff announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The annual Historic Zoning Commission training has been scheduled for Monday, March 31st from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. and calendar invites have been sent out to you all to mark your calendars, and the agenda will be sent out and published the week prior to the meeting. Additionally, the preservation plan update is kicking off, and there is a steering committee scheduled for next Wednesday, the 19th at 8 a.m. at this location. If anyone is interested in joining us for the meeting and start of the plan kickoff. And then the last announcement is that our regularly scheduled DRC meeting is next Monday at 4 p.m. here at Eastern Flame.
All right, thank you. Yes, welcome everybody to the new digs. Grateful for everyone here. Let's go to citizen comments. This segment of the meeting is open for citizens to be heard on any issue or concern. If you'd like to speak on a specific item on the agenda, if you would please wait until the citizen comment period for that time. And if you'd like to comment, please fill out a speaker card. I have several here already. And so when that item comes up, I'll be calling those folks up. Anyone else, make sure you get a card up to staff here and they'll get it to me. When your name is called, come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 2 minutes or less, please. Are there any citizens at this time who wish to speak on any other topic? Okay. Hearing none. Let's move forward. We have one comment that has been submitted for 115 Winslow Road for the commission to review. Do we have that? Is it in the packet? Okay.
It is in the packet,
Okay.
and it was submitted and the agenda was republished with that
Okay.
comment on
Perfect.
Friday.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Item number 2 here is consideration of alterations of a principal structure at 1309 Adams Street. And our staff presentation is from Elizabeth. Thank you.
Thank you. So 1309 Adams Street is listed as a contributing building in the National Register listing for the Adams Street National Register Historic District. It is a circa 1900 frame building, and the applicant attended the January 2025 DRC meeting, and feedback has been incorporated into the application. The previous existing front door has been fixed and reinstalled on the building, and this application is seeking retroactive approval for a certificate of appropriateness for alterations completed on the building. The following alterations are included in the application: the installation of gutters and the in-kind repair and replacement of materials. For the gutters, an OG-style gutter was installed on the front side and rear of the building. The gutter has a black finish. The guidelines would recommend the following: to use gutters, downspouts, and splash blocks in designs appropriate to the age of the building they support. Use half-round gutters if the building dates before the 1930s. The installation of a gutter is appropriate to assist with water mitigation around the building and for the long-term preservation of the building. However, the guidelines would recommend a style of gutter that is appropriate to the age of the home, which is dated to 1900. A more appropriate style of gutter would be the half-round gutter, and the installed style of the gutter is not appropriate for the age of the building. For the in-kind replacement of materials, wood trim, framing, and other elements were replaced in kind with wood materials at various locations around the building. The in-kind replacement of the deteriorated materials is appropriate and matches the design and profile of the existing wood materials found on the building. Staff recommends denial of the gutter installation based on the following guidelines: to use a half-round gutter if the building dates before the 1930s, and staff recommends approval of the in-kind replacement. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any citizens who wish to comment on this particular project? Yes, ma'am. Did you want it? Okay, I'll try and move this closer. Any citizens who wish to comment on this particular item? Okay. Let's entertain a motion here from our board. Yeah, let's. I think the applicant may have just come in. Are you here for 1309 Adams? Yes, ma'am. Would you like to come up and make comment? You don't have to, but you can. Yep. Yes, ma'am. You are. Your item's up. Come right up here to this lectern right here. If you'll state your name and address, please.
So I am Emily Brown, and I am the aunt of Rachel Felix. I was about to say Calloway. She's married now, but Rachel Felix. And so we are hoping that we have passed the bar, and it's going to be a win-win for everybody. So we did replace the door that was originally on the property, so we hope it's good.
Okay. Thank you so much. If you'll
Okay.
have a seat, we may have
Thank
some
you.
questions for you. Yeah, let's break this up into two motions. Let's do the gutters first. Anybody have a motion on the gutter replacement?
I make a motion to deny the approval of the gutters, since they are the wrong height for the period the home was built.
Okay. Is there a second from anyone?
I second.
You second that? Okay. Thank you. Any discussion on that? Any thoughts? Go ahead.
What style gutters were these replacing?
So I believe in imagery on the building that dates to 2022 on Google Images, you can see that it looks like a profile of a K-style was existing before the gutter was removed at some point. And I think it has the white finish, so you can kind of tell it's been placed in the same location as well.
So it was replaced with the same,
I believe the gutter may have been taken down at some point in
Okay.
between then, so there was no gutter on the building for
Okay.
a while.
Anything else? Brian, did you have a comment?
No, just to be clear for the applicant, what's being asked the applicant to do is to replace those gutters with half rounds and then a round downspout. And in what color? I mean, are we also talking about color, if they go back with the black or the bronze, or should it match the actual fascia boards of the porch?
Good point. I think because the color's inherent to the material, that we do review that. We don't review paint color, but because it's baked into the finish, then we do. Any reaction to that from anybody?
I would say that if this house is going to be redone, that a bronze finish would give more flexibility
Okay.
to the
Okay.
future of the home when somebody was selecting a color.
Okay. Anything?
Well, that's another, just it brought up a question for me, reviewing the packet. From the pictures we've seen previously, this house actually looked uninhabitable. And I'm wondering, is the house just being, it had been in deteriorated state. So basically the gutters and the paint, that's actually a good thing. It's actually helped to preserve a house that was currently in deterioration. And I'm wondering, is it going to be put on the market? I mean, that's nothing really that we consider, but as far as what's going on currently and color, it could be that in the future we get an entire new package. An entire rehab of this where we get a good view of the guidelines for
There would be, the timing of all that, it could be 2 or 3 years. It looks like it does today, should we approve something that we might feel is temporary, but doesn't end up being temporary. Yeah, it's permanent till it's not. So I guess with that in mind, I would say leaning towards the guidelines for me makes the most sense, just because this may be there for a while. Yes, ma'am.
My thought too would be, is there any historical images or older images of this home?
Did staff find anything older than the 2000, the picture that's on the screen here?
No, we
No.
did not do that
Okay.
search.
Okay. Yeah, it's, I mean, I know we can drive all around town and find houses of this vintage that have K-style gutters, but they were probably replaced in the 100 years they've been in town. So, I don't know that folks equate it to 1930s and earlier as strongly as people who are maybe scholars of preservation might know. But like I said, I tend to think the guidelines are written for that reason, and that whole temporary thing is tough for me to. Just don't know how long temporary would be. If we knew that there was a building permit being pulled tomorrow and they just needed to save this for 6 months while construction's going on, then I'd go, oh yeah, whatever.
And again, I'm referring to the color.
Yeah.
So that was mainly about color. So, and I don't know if staff had an opinion on the guidelines of color for this house, for either be dark or should match the paint on the trim.
I don't believe there's a specific guidelines that speaks to the color of the gutters and matching or not matching other elements on the building, but it should be compatible.
Okay.
Sure. All right, so we have a motion on the floor to deny the gutters as constructed here, since this is retroactive. Is there any other discussion on this one, or should we vote? Okay, let's vote. All those who are in favor of denying the retroactive COA for the gutters, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, so the ayes have it, which means the gutters will need to be replaced with half rounds. We didn't specify any color, but staff can maybe help with that. Yes, ma'am.
Would somebody be willing to entertain a motion to approve a half-round gutter installation if you wanted that to be in place of the K-style this evening?
We could, but I'm not sure we presume that the owner's application, right? I mean, legal might have some comment on that.
At this point, the motion has been denied, and so it would have to come back.
Okay. Yeah. I think we can reconsider motions, but they haven't submitted what it might be. And I think we would want to see style and color, whatever that is, when it comes back. All right. So there's a second part to this, which was the in-kind replacement. I think everybody was satisfied with the front door. So there's nothing to consider there. It was just a refinished front door as far as the application's concerned. So let's have a motion for discussion on the in-kind replacement.
Move for approval of the in-kind replacement with staff conditions.
Second.
You have to use your microphone. We can't.
Michael and
hear what
Bob.
you said.
We're getting used to it. All right, so we had a motion from Mr. Orr here for approval as submitted, and a second by Bob. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Any discussion on that motion? None? Okay, all those in favor of approval of the in-kind replacement, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The motion is passed. Thank you. Did you say Emily Brown?
It is on, yes.
That's you.
E-M-I-L-Y.
Okay, thank you. I wrote it down, but my handwriting's horrible. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to do some adjusting. All the IT people are freaking out. They don't like us touching the microphones. All right. Next up, item 3, consideration of driveway alterations at 1343 Huffines Ridge Drive, also known as the Carruthers House, and our staff presentation is by Emily Huffer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The property at 1343 Huffines Ridge Drive is known as the John Henry Carruthers House. This property is a local landmark and was placed on the National Register for Historic Places in 1989. A proposal to alter the handicapped accessible parking has come before the Design Review Committee twice in 2024, and a site visit in 2024, and another DRC meeting in January of 2025. The previous plan, I'll go to the photo of what is being proposed. The previous plan included snaking the handicap accessible ramp from the bottom of the hill on Azeel Drive to the right of the property to behind the building and then to the left side of the building. This design added complexity to the site and did not allow maintenance vehicles access to the accessory structure at the rear of the property. The updated design has incorporated feedback from previous DRC meetings into the proposal. Now the proposal is to utilize a drive from Huffines Ridge Drive into the site. The 12-foot chip-sealed road will be tucked close to the tree line to preserve the view shed of the building from the road and to also avoid the historic rock walls on the property. The drive will lead to the accessible parking spots and a turnaround spot for visitors to the site. The proposed driveway, accessible spots, and turnaround are appropriate within the guidelines. It was discussed at the January DRC meeting that the chip-sealed drive would mimic the road at Carnton leading to the Fleming Center. This example helped the DRC members to support the proposal. Within the project considerations, the City of Franklin Fire Protection Specialist commented that a 12-foot driveway would not be accepted and the minimum width allowed is 20 feet. While this is wider than what is proposed, it will allow for further accessibility to the site and allow emergency vehicles to access the site. Staff recommends approval of the proposal with conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Mr. Gamble.
Hi, my name is Greg Gamble, representing the applicant, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have on this application. I do have a request, though. We have had several conversations with engineering and fire. If you'll notice, fire was able to serve this building from Azeel Drive in the what's a currently approved site plan. In that application, there is a stair access that goes from Azeel Drive up to the building. We're not removing that stair. That's staying in place. We're going to be working through a site plan revision with planning, engineering, and fire. This is just the first step in that process. In our previous conversations with fire, they were satisfied with the narrower drive, so I'm not sure what's changed. I have not had a chance to talk with them. My request is that on the condition of approval number 1, that it state the application must meet the requirements of the City of Franklin prior to issuance of a building permit, including a minimum driveway width satisfactory to all City of Franklin requirements. That'll give us the opportunity to have these discussions with engineering, fire, and get the right design down. If it's specifically 20 feet, we'll be coming back to the Historic Zoning Commission. So if you'll give us just a little bit of flexibility, we'll work with the engineering and fire to meet the city's requirements.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any citizens here who wish to speak on this particular item? Okay, I see none. So let's have a motion from one of the commissioners, please.
So I move to approve with staff comments and revision to item number 1 per applicant.
Okay, which was all City of Franklin requirements in lieu of the minimum driveway width of 20 feet. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Any comments? Discussion? Nobody? Yeah, I feel like the applicant's request there at the end is a satisfactory kind of backstop. It's not like they're going to because we said they get to build something that fire wouldn't like. So I'm totally happy with that.
The only thing I was getting ready to say, and I go ahead and say it, when that change happens, will the Preservation Planning Department be part of that conversation with meeting the city codes?
We can be.
I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion? All right, let's vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve with staff comments, and with the exception of changing condition number 1 to minimum driveway width of 20 to all City of Franklin requirements. I think I said that right. Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. That's it. Thank you. Item number 4. Let me look here. I think we've got 2 more. Yes. Item number 4, consideration of alterations at 230 Franklin Road, Building 1 at the factory. And Emily Huffer has our staff presentation for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Building 1 at the factory campus is a circa 1950s brick gable roof office building with a small addition connected to its west-facing elevation. In 1997, it was remodeled into office spaces, and it most recently was a restaurant space. The historic residential building chapter of the design guidelines was utilized as they define residential buildings to include forms that typically have a pitched roof. The pitched roof is a character-defining feature of this building, as different work occurred in this building than in other factory buildings and provided different clerical services to the Dorch Stove Works Company. One part of the proposal is the roof replacement. The existing roof consists of a copper-colored metal roof that has been painted red. The 1997 National Register listing photo shows that the building had a shingle roof, and so does the 1955 to 1960 photo within the application. The guidelines recommend preserving historic roof forms and materials. If partial or wholesale replacement is needed, use materials whose composition and appearance match the historic materials. The building would have traditionally utilized a shingle roof. As proposed, replacing the roof with a dark metal standing seam does not meet the guidelines. Utilizing a shingle roof is supported by the historic photographs within the application, within the National Register listing, and within the guidelines. The building is residential in form, and utilizing a shingle roofing material solidifies the difference in work performed in this building historically from the other industrial buildings on the factory campus. Based on the discussion during the January DRC meeting, a rendering with the metal roof has been provided as part of this application. And here it is. So the second proposal is to remove the vinyl canopies that are seen on the front and on the sides of the building. They were installed circa 2015 and are appropriate to move as they are non-historic. The removal of the existing equipment and screening and installation of new screening that is seen here on the west and north elevations, and it's the front and then the left side of the building, is proposed to remove this equipment and generally clean up the site, and these changes are supported by the guidelines. The existing equipment and screening located at the rear of the building on the second level, which is labeled as the south and east elevations on the plans. The existing screening consists of horizontal wood boards and is tucked behind the side of the building. It is proposed to utilize a dark metal screening that is seen elsewhere on the factory campus. On the east elevation, wood horizontal boards are used to screen equipment underneath the stairs. It is proposed to replace the screening with dark metal screening, and the screening will only be under the stairs, which is reduced in area from the current screening. As proposed, the removal of the older mechanical equipment installation of new mechanical equipment as proposed, and the replacement of screening are all appropriate within the guidelines. Moving on to the next part of the proposal, there are several areas on the original portion of the building that are in disrepair and are proposed to be repaired or in-kind replaced. If preservation of an element is not possible, it is better to repair a feature rather than replace it so as to maintain a higher degree of integrity for the historic property. The repair of elements of this building are appropriate as proposed. Staff recommends denial of the roof replacement in a metal material based on the following grounds: that one should preserve historic roof forms and materials. If partial or wholesale replacement is needed, use materials whose composition and appearance match the historic materials. Should the Historic Zoning Commission approve the roof replacement, the following condition is recommended: that the metal shall be a dark bronze as described in the application. Staff recommends approval of the removal of the awnings on the front and side of the building, the removal of the existing mechanical equipment, the installation of new mechanical equipment, and the dark metal screening with conditions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The applicant wants to come forward. Looks like Benton's here in lieu of David on the application.
Benton Smothers with Holiday Properties. I have David Click, my colleague with Holiday Properties as well. The only thing I wanted to touch on is the roof. We're clearly asking for a variance. The idea is we basically want to put it back to what Calvin Lehue had done almost 30 years ago. You know, the red color, we really, I mean, it's about replacing that and getting a more neutral, appropriate color. You know, it's been like that for nearly 30 years, which is about a third of the life of the building. It's appropriate for commercial use. It's long-term use. And to take it back to an asphalt roof, well, technically correct, you know, it would be incongruous with everything else that's at the factory that's, you know, metal roofs for the most part. That's the primary roof line. And we think it'd stick out, and it would be confusing to most folks that, you know, weren't around 30 plus years ago and just would stick out. So I'd ask for approval of that variance. And David, you have anything else to ask? If you've got any technical questions, David's here as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. Any citizens here who wish to comment on the application? Yes, sir. Come on up, please.
James Blair, 533 Plantation Court, Nashville, Tennessee. I rise in support of the recommendations for the restoration of this project. I think Benton Smothers and the rest of his team at Holiday Properties have done a great job in restoring the buildings, though I would probably lean in referring to hopefully having an asphalt roof, but I understand the precedent set by Calvin when they did the roof restoration over 30 years ago, and certainly would like it to go back to a darker roof form. I'm certainly in support of taking away more of the mechanical screenings and restoring a lot of all the woodwork on the property. I know sadly this building was not included in the original National Register when it was done in 1997, and I think it's being non-contributing at that time, but it clearly, in my opinion, it was going back even to building in the 1920s. So as far as the physical structure, I know there's been a precedent set for now almost 30 years of it being a metal roof, and certainly if the board supports that tonight, I'm in favor of that, and hopefully they will continue with the dark color. So all in all, in support of the project and items moving forward. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Anyone else? Okay. I'll entertain a motion from one of the commissioners. We can certainly break this apart if you'd like to do that too.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Let's do, just based on DRC, I think, let's do the roof first. Okay. Because some of the staff recommendations have to do with whether a roof is metal and what color it is. So let's start with the roof. I'll take a motion on that. You talked first. Tag,
All
you're
right,
it.
so I will move to approve with staff comments about its color. And the reason I'm going against staff is because of the precedent. I think for 30 years, replacing in kind. I do agree that best practice would be the asphalt roof in this location, but given the precedent, I have to go in favor of the standing seam metal roof in bronze color.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Michael. All right, let's have some discussion. Anybody have comments on that? Go ahead, Mary.
I would say with the amount of changes that are being made, which are necessary to give a new future to the factory, and it's amazing, but there's lots of changes being made. So if this one piece could go back to being like it was originally, I think that would be amazing. It's right at the front of the project, of the site. So I would concur with staff comments for a shingle roof.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Holly, do you have a thought?
I agree with staff as well and Mary on that. I think that a metal roof was a mistake 30 years ago, and so I would rather have it actually historically accurate, especially if it's going to be addressed.
Okay.
I guess I'm looking at it the other way. I was concerned that should it have been allowed to be asphalt roof in the first place, with everything else around it being metal.
Mm-hmm.
It was what it was, It was asphalt. I don't think anyone's going to have any confusion about whether or not they go to what the business will be in there, whether or not it's shingle or a metal roof.
Okay. Do you have something
Well, I
else, Mary?
agree, there won't be any confusion. I don't think anybody that goes to the building, and I do think shingle is the best practice. However, there's nothing that prevents the applicant from saying, well, look, why don't we just paint the metal roof bronze? So, I mean, it may be metal anyway. So.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine if that's what the applicant decides to do, but at least we're not repeating something that probably shouldn't happen the first time.
Yeah, I think, we've had folks come to us with a request to paint a metal roof too, and we didn't approve it because nobody could really provide any guarantee that it wouldn't end up with sunburn like this roof has. So there's some concern there. I'm not sure we would approve it again. Maybe we would.
I wanted to say, I think it should be asphalt. The only thing that makes me lean towards a metal roof painted a dark color is the transition to the back of the building. There's been an addition on it, so I think that would be a very strange transition with an asphalt.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if this didn't have, if it had a shingle roof on it right now, we'd have a totally different conversation. For me, the fact that it has a metal roof right now that needs an aesthetic kind of lift, I see that as sort of precedent setting in one regard because it's in-kind replacement of something that's been there for, 20 years. We line up and protect this thing when it hits that 50-year mark, right or wrong. So I'm sort of indifferent to it, and because I'm indifferent to shingle versus metal, I just trend towards what the applicant wants at that point. Because I don't know that there's parts in the guidelines that talk about in-kind replacement, and there's parts that talk about, roofing on a residential-like structure. So I don't feel strongly either way, except that the applicant would like to use metal. So
I have a quick question too. The roof height or pitch is not changing. It's just replacement in same form.
yes, yes, ma'am.
One of the images where it showed the existing front elevation and then the new roof drawing, it looked a lot taller there in the
It's
drawing.
probably foreshortened in that 2D
Just
is
wanted
not.
to ask.
Yeah, yeah, good
Thank you.
question, good question. Any other discussion? All right, we have a motion to approve a new metal standing seam roof with a bronze color, made by Brian, second by Michael. We've had some discussion. If we're ready to vote, let's give it a vote here. All those in favor of this motion for approval, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
Okay. I counted 5 ayes and 2 noes, so that motion carries. All right. Let's grab the second part of this, which is metal screening. I think the staff recommendation here was that since the roof's dark bronze, the screening would be dark bronze too. I'm just reading through these recommendations here. Then everything else was removal of and replacement in kind, if I recall. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion on those, please.
Move to approve with staff comments.
Thank you, Brian.
Second.
Bob, thank you. Any comments from anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Is the metal screening solid, or is it pierced or open?
David, you want to come up and answer just a couple quick questions? Thank you.
Hi, I'm David Click with Holiday Properties, Factory at Franklin. You can see in this image here, it's a blue example, but that's the corrugated metal that we are proposing in the dark bronze color on the right. We have installed mechanical screens in numerous buildings across campus, as well as directly adjacent on Building 2, where there's a vertical circulation core. We're proposing to use the same manufacturer, the same scale of corrugation. It's going to be the same product, just in a different color.
And is it a vertical install? or
Correct.
horizontal?
Correct.
Okay.
Vertical.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for David before he sits? No? Okay. Any other discussion?
Is there a particular height that we're limited to?
I'm not sure. I thought at some point in the drawings there was something there. But there's a screen there today, and they're matching what was there just with the new skin. Is that a correct?
That is correct. The existing wood enclosure is 6 feet tall, and we're proposing to match the height.
Okay. I'm not sure we knew it was 6 feet tall, but I think we knew it was whatever size it is, which is good to know.
One more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a gate?
Yes, there will be a access gate, roughly 3.5 feet, to provide maintenance to the HVAC equipment that'll be within it.
Is it on the facade of the elevation that we see?
Correct. It's accessed from that second level patio. So there's a door that'll be kind of towards the left side of that screening, roughly where the mouse is positioned now.
Okay.
Again, that's where the existing access door is. We're just looking to replace it in kind.
Okay. Good. Thank you. All right. Any more questions, discussion? Let's vote. All those in favor of approval with staff comments for the in-kind replacement, screening, removal of mechanicals, etc., please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Unanimous. The ayes have it. Thank you all very much. All right, item number 5. Hopefully everyone can hear us all right. Is it still very quiet? Not too bad now? Okay. It says 5 here. Yeah. It says 6 online. Regardless, it's new construction, principal building at 115 Winslow Road. Again, I have lots of comment cards. Make sure you fill one of these out if you'd like to speak and get it to staff. Let's start with Elizabeth on staff presentation, please.
Thank you. So 115 Winslow Road is a vacant lot on Winslow Road in the Franklin Road Historic District. This lot is adjacent to two existing buildings. To the left, a historic 1928 Tudor Revival cottage, and to the right is an infill project that was completed in 2023. A 1.5-story principal structure with an attached garage in the Tudor Revival style is proposed. This item was deferred during the January 13th Historic Zoning Commission meeting, and changes have been made to the design. For the placement and orientation, the building is located 10 feet from the side yard property line on the right side, where only a 5-foot setback is required to increase the compatibility with the existing spacing between buildings along this block. The proposed location does not make this building more prominent, does not block the view of historic building, and maintains the spacing and pattern of development that is seen on this block face. The proposed placement and orientation are appropriate. For the building form, the building will read as a 1.5-story Tudor-inspired building and is consistent and compatible with the nearby historic buildings. As the form progresses to the rear, facade breaks and insets are utilized to assist the massing to be more complementary to the adjacent properties. A 1.5-story frame garage is attached to the principal building. A portion of the garage is set behind the building, and the remainder of the garage is located in the rear plane in a traditional location at the end of the driveway. The design has been changed to further recess the garage into the rear of the building. The overall form is compatible with the nearby historic buildings and does not detract from the character of the historic district. For the proposed size, the size of the footprint is 34% of the lot and is within the recommendation of the guideline. For the height, the proposed height of the building is 27 feet 7.5 inches, and the proposed height is appropriate as it is within the 10% average of the block face. For the roof, the pitches are consistent with the pitches of the Tudor style, which feature steeper pitches and is appropriate in light of the guidelines. The porches, stoops, and decks foundation are appropriate in light of the guidelines. The proposed material will be clad in brick and lap siding and will feature half timbering detail. The roof is proposed to be a composition shingle roof. The specification of the material and reveal of the siding were not included in the application, but should be consistent with the guidelines. For the details and ornamentation, the details and ornamentation proposed for the building are simple and relate to the adjacent buildings and are the selected architectural style. The use of the stone arch detailing, flaring stone details on the stoop, half timbering, and brick detailing are found on the building and relate to the Tudor style. One fin wall is proposed on the left corner of the front facade. The design and height have incorporated feedback to reduce the height and prominence of this detail, as well as reducing the quantity to only one fin wall being proposed on site. The details and ornamentation are simple and relate to the design seen in the district. The details and ornamentation do not compete with or negatively impact the nearby historic buildings. The arched front entrance is appropriate to the architectural style. The proposed doors are similar to what is existing on nearby houses, and the material specifications must be provided to staff to verify the material. The proposed windows appear to be appropriate, however, the specifications have not been provided. While a surround is proposed for the windows on the building, the profile of the windows and surround do not appear to be recessed in the masonry and raised in the siding. A recessed dormer is appropriate for steeper pitched roofs, such as the one proposed, and local examples have been provided to support the use of a recessed dormer. The pitch of the dormer on the garage does not meet the recommended minimum pitch, but there are examples of dormers at this pitch that have been recently approved and supported. The proposed chimney is compatible in size and massing, but is taller than what is seen on nearby historic buildings. However, the height is compatible with the height of the building and the architectural style. The material of the chimney cap is not specified at this time. A half-round gutter is proposed and is in keeping with the Tudor architectural style and the guidelines. For the site and setting, a curving walkway and driveway are proposed on the site. The driveway, while curving, does not cross the plane of the front facade of the building. The apron of the driveway does appear to be partially located in front of the building. The walkway proposed follows a more typical pattern for the configuration and alignment with what is seen on nearby properties, and feedback has been incorporated into the design of the walkway to reduce this element's visual impact on the site. The driveway has a curving design that is not seen elsewhere on nearby historic properties, and the pattern of driveways is most commonly configured to be straight from the street to the garage. And the data and calculations for the LSA requirement will need to be revised to show the accurate LSA requirements. Staff recommends approval with conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Mr. Katsidis, thought I saw you come in. Good evening.
Good afternoon. Michael Katsidis with MK Studio, representing the client, Doug Majors. In addition to Elizabeth's comments, the HVAC units, the condensing units, have been moved from the west side of the building, of the house, to the east side behind that wing wall. The lead walk was previously closer to the front of the property or the driveway. Now it has shifted closer to the house, eliminating some of the steps. The driveway has been shifted in regards to 110 Winslow, the property behind this, if we're facing the front behind it. So the driveways would not be aligning, and that's why the shift has been made on the driveways.
That's a cross.
Across, yes.
Across the street, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
I think you guys, staff has
Gave us a good report?
All the comments.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I know we have some citizen comments here. Again, if you haven't given me a card, let me know. Let's start with Paul Leibowitz. Come on up, sir. State your name, even though you gave it to me, and your address, please.
I'm Paul Leibowitz, and my wife and I live at 102 Winslow Road. We are the guardians of the universe in the neighborhood. We're the first house that you drive in. And when the pictures came, I just have a couple of comments. None of us have these kind of wing walls like this one has on the left. They're all pretty simple structures. They don't have little additions like that. So if this project's going forward, I'd like the wing wall on the left to be removed, and they can screen the air conditioners with shrubs or something like that. The other part is that in the neighborhood, the gables are really much simpler and they're fewer. So this one has 3 really big gables, and I'd say at least get rid of one and sort of downplay the front. When I look at it, this will be the busiest gables in the neighborhood. So I'd like the front to be more subtle to go with the remains of the neighborhood. That's my comments.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. Stacy Ligon. I don't know if I said that. Ligon. Oh, my English teacher was wrong. Thank you.
Okay, hi there. Well, we appreciate your consideration of the information we have submitted. The architect has shown a visual perspective with dimensions for the south side of the street. We would ask that one be shown for the north side of the street as well. This feels crucial to finding a balanced solution. Our first point, 12 feet is not a proportional balance of space between 119 and the proposed project. There's a precedent on Winslow Road that every other existing house has the space of a driveway plus yard in between each house. The houses across the street, 118 and 114, are much smaller in stature, and even they have 35 feet of space between them. There's a larger house to the left of 118 and to the right of 114, and there is a respectfully 69.5 feet and 62 feet between these houses, which is crucial spacing to allow these different sized homes to blend with character and charm. 12 feet is just not enough. Again, a precedent already exists on Winslow Road. Why would 115 be allowed to change this precedent when it would have a negative effect on the street and therefore every other resident by doing so? Our second point, as we have stated, the homes at the end of the U all look natural as they are a statement anchoring the transition between Winslow Road and Miles Manor. Their styles and sizes complement each other, and they have a large estate on the opposite side of the street to maintain balance. Thus, we understand why 119 was allowed to correlate in height as the home closest to those larger dimensions. As you travel down Winslow Road away from Miles Manor, that's not the case. Again, the residents in 118 and 114, the properties directly opposite 115, are much smaller in stature and will never be allowed to enlarge their roof heights in any significant way beyond where they are now. The present height proposed for 115 will feel overbearing to the existing character of Winslow Road. The height of the two homes together will create a massive overbearing presence on the street. We ask that you look at the height and proportion of both sides of the street when assessing this point. The perspective you are being shown is towards the taller side of the street, not showing you how overpowering it will be when the full scope is seen. The peaks on the front of this project are too numerous and too steep to blend in as well. All other homes on Winslow Road only have one peak, as Paul mentioned, on the front of the house, and they are much softer in their pitch, not nearly as extreme as what is being proposed at this site. When standing physically on the street, you can see that there should be a significant decrease in height at 115, and there's any hope of having a non-overwhelming structure flow from 119 to the house at 111. The third and final
Ms.
point
Ligon,
we are asking.
I'm going to
if
give
I
you
could-
just a few more seconds.
The third and final point we're asking to be considered is the very reason we're meeting tonight. This board was established to protect and preserve the historic integrity of Franklin. We're hoping the question is not how do we approve the presented drawings to allow this property to be maxed out in its development possibilities, but instead to ask, do these drawings respect the integrity of what has been there for years and the historic nature of a street that has always been looked to as a charming element of Franklin? Again, we believe the proposed project is not in keeping with the character of the neighborhood, and we do not support its approval. We have 25 signatures of neighbors who agree with this, which represents 17 homes. If you've not already, we would invite you for a formal site visit to understand the reality of being what is presented tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Matt Ligon. Hi there.
Hey,
Good
Matt
evening.
Ligon, 110 Winslow Road. Obviously, I agree with everything that my wife just said.
Should have got her
anybody
last two
would.
pages.
In this position. But again, I think it's, and I've talked with the builder. I, for one, and Stacy are in favor of there not being a straight driveway. 119 doesn't have exactly straight driveway. The driveways are all on the opposite sides of each other. This driveway would be next to 110, and so having a little space, I think, helps that. It also, I think, would help them not backing out and hitting our mailbox, which would then be straight across from it. So outside of that, agree with Paul Lebovitz on the roof and the points and just the massiveness of the house. I know it fits in the guidelines with the extra 10% in there. But when you drive down that street and see 111 and you look at the topo of the land, this is going to be a big house, and it's going to be the biggest house on that street. And its lot is not even close to the biggest lot as far as width. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Matt. I think this is Jesse Dell. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Dell.
Is it on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Jessie Dell, and I live at 111 Winslow Road. I'm next door to this project. My husband and I agree with every concern that has been listed. Most specific is the proposed house on 115 is massive compared to the houses across the street and to our residents at 111. I do not support approving this house as it is not, in my opinion, appropriate for this lot. I appreciate your consideration and look forward to your decision.
Thank you, Miss Dell. And Butch Dell. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Butch Dell, and I agree with everything my wife said.
That's
And we
smart
live-
man.
We live next door at 111 Winslow. All the points that have been made tonight, we have the same concerns as was presented by Stacy and Paul. The small amount of space between 119 and 115 adds to this overbearing feeling for our street. The height of the proposed house at 115 will feel too high next to our house at 111. This also adds to the overbearing feeling as well for our street. I do not support approving this house as it is now and appreciate your consideration of the points discussed tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Anderson. Is it Danny? Yes. Come on up, sir.
I really hadn't planned on speaking, but just as clarification, they were talking about getting signatures from the neighbors. We live next door to this house, and we're the only people that, well, I don't know if the only, but we were not given this paper to read before mid-morning this morning. So we did not sign anything, just for clarification.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. Anyone else want to speak from the public? Okay. I see no one else, so let's have a motion to start discussion, please. Anybody want to start us off?
I'll just make a motion to approve with staff conditions.
Okay. Ms. Kathy, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Michael? All right, let's have some discussion here. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to get us discussing again too, and so we have seen this project presented to us several times, and I do appreciate, Mr. Michael, the drawing. I can't get my eyes off of this one drawing here. You've given me exactly what I've asked for to see the development and how you have dealt with reducing the mass on this. When I look at some of the other things that you've done with changing the front entry from the sidewalk up to the house, turning it into the driveway, shifting the driveway to clear the across the street neighbor, all those things add in reducing the mass, in my opinion, and that's always been what has always hurt my feelings about this house in this neighborhood. And it's almost as if it's dropped out of the sky. While it's a beautiful, beautiful design, it's in a historic area, and it's got other homes that have a precedence to it as well. And while you've tried to reduce the massing and even moving the garage portion back behind the main body of the house, knocking off a wing wall, I still feel very strongly that I don't see enough reduction in the massing of this to make a significant difference, and I would not be able to support approving the documents as they're drawn.
Okay. Anyone else?
I would concur with what Kathy said. To me, at the end of the day, the thing that is going to be shocking about this house in this neighborhood is the height of the garage being on a plane with the rest of the house. I just don't believe there's precedent for that in historic neighborhoods. I appreciate and would love to look at simplification of the front, but for me, the garage is going to be the thing that shocks the eye.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Do you have comments, Holly?
Yeah, I think the massing is more like a McMansion massing than a historic house, and it just sticks out. The scale is just overscaled, and I drove down this neighborhood today to take a look, and I agree that it's not properly scaled with the other houses in the neighborhood, especially across the street.
Okay. Anyone over here? I can talk a little bit about my thoughts too. Kind of following up on what some of the neighbors have said, that there's a lot going on here. There's historic forms, but there's a lot of them, and it seems like there's been a lot of the use of different roof pitches, altering bearing heights of walls on the second floor, this kind of two-story mass in the back, when all the houses around it are 1 or 1.5 story. This has got a full 2-story section in the back. And then the garage has this tall bearing point in the back and a lower one in the front. So there's been a lot of convoluting of kind of these pure historic forms that's creating a lot of volume, which is great. I'm sure any homeowner would love to have all this volume, but I do think that it's causing a too complicated, too massive form. The materials are materials we see. The forms, these front-facing steep gables are Tudor, but as the neighbors mentioned, do you typically see 3 of them front-facing? And then a whole nother pitch for the main roof mass, and then a second story kind of really low slope roof on the back. There's a lot going on, and it doesn't say historic to me. It says that you had to try really hard to fit within the rules. So it was like an exercise in pushing the rules to the very max in every dimension. Yeah, at this point, I'm not sure I can support that this design is respectful of the neighborhood around it.
Well,
Bob?
we've seen with a home that's been proposed around the corner from here on Miles Manor, a huge house.
Mhm.
And we've been worried about that block face, and I think this is another example of, it's a beautiful home. Built, it would be a beautiful home.
Yeah.
In this location, I think it's just too large. Even if you swung the garage around to the side in the back, it's still going to be a monumental Tudor-esque home.
Sure.
That's not true to the other neighborhood sizes.
Thank
So
you.
That's where my issue is.
Okay. Brian, did you have any comments?
Well, the only thing I think we need to defer once more, this application and invite the applicant to DRC.
Yeah.
So I move to defer.
Okay. Is there a second to defer?
Second.
Okay, Bob. Or is there any discussion specific to the deferral?
To the next voting meeting and
Yes,
invite them to DRC.
To the next voting meeting.
What is that date certain? The attorneys love that term, date certain. 2025 to be very specific. I don't want to show up the wrong year. All right, any discussion specific only to the deferral? Okay, let's vote on the deferral. All those in favor of deferral, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. All right. It's been deferred to March 10th, and we do invite you to come next week. I think you have to know tonight if they plan on coming. Is that correct?
Yes, we'll need to know, the submittal is by 11:59 tonight, or if they'd let us know, then we can put them on the agenda.
Okay. Fair enough. So hopefully the applicant heard that. Okay. Okay. Other business. Staff, do you have any other business for us? Anyone on the commission have any other business? No? Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn from somebody.
So moved.
All right. Brian, Michael, all those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. We're adjourned.